Good morning, class 11. In today's session, I'll be moving ahead with the atomic models, and in today's session, I'll be discussing with you the Rutherford atomic model. If you remember, children, in the last session, I discussed with you the history of the discovery of electron and proton, and then the Thomson's model. As I told you that I'm simply following the order in which the various discoveries were done. Like first of all, the first subatomic particle, that is electron, was discovered, and then proton was discovered because it was told by Sir Dalton that an atom is what? Electrically neutral. So most of the scientists thought that there are only two subatomic particles, electron and proton, and they thought that with the discovery of electron and proton their task is successful. Now they are fully aware of the subatomic particles, so they started giving up the model. So the first model was given by Thomson and he got the Nobel Prize for that model. Then came Rutherford. Rutherford also gave a very important model, and to a great extent, to a huge extent, you can say the model was correct also, except for one or two failures which he could not justify. So let us see what was the setup like. Rutherford took the gold foil, a very thin gold foil, to carry out the experiment, and he bombarded it with alpha rays. Actually, Rutherford, this scientist, used to work with radioactive phenomena, the radioactivity and everything. So he and his team used to work with the rays, alpha, beta and gamma rays. Okay, so one fine day his co-workers, his team, reported to him that when alpha rays were bombarded with, or alpha rays were when strike the gold foil, what happened? The rays, maximum alpha rays, passed through the gold foil following a straight path, and some different observations were also observed. So let us see that what was the experiment, and before that let us know what is alpha particle. Alpha particle is actually doubly ionized helium rays. Helium is the second lightest element which you know in the periodic table, with atomic number 2 and the mass number is 4. Now if you ionize it, ionization means removal of electron, or giving electron to an atom is also ionization. So if in this case, if I remove 2 electrons from helium, then helium will acquire 2 positive charge and it will be now known as helium nucleus, because no electrons are there in this ion now. Okay, it is only possessing the nucleus, and helium nucleus is known as alpha particle. Alpha particles possess positive charge. Okay, very important. Alpha particles possess positive charge. So here you can see that this was the experiment when the rays were passed through the gold foil. I have not shown you the foil here. I have just simply taken an atom so that you can understand properly that how the different behavior of alpha rays were observed. You can see that there were some rays which passed through the foil like this, following a straight path, whereas some rebounded like this and some underwent small deviations, and I have given these rays name as A, B, C. If I have made 3 rays here only, does not mean that there were only 3 rays. There were millions of rays, but I am showing you only the rays pertaining to the different behaviors. And you can see here the green lines are mentioned here. This is actually to make you understand that how was the behavior studied. The behavior was again studied with the help of the glow produced on the fluorescent substance. So while carrying out this experiment, it was surrounded with the fluorescent substance, so that when the rays strike these fluorescent substance, the glow or some pattern can be observed, which could help him observe the experimental setup. So what were his observations? He observed that nearly 99% of alpha particles passed undeviated, as in case of A. Okay, and some of the alpha particles were deflected by small angles, as in case of B. You can see here very few particles rebound. Okay, there were very few particles which rebounded like this, as indicated by C. So why this type of behavior was observed, and what was his conclusion? So Rutherford model of atom came out with the following conclusions. The first conclusion was most part of the atom is empty. That is why the rays are traveling in a straight path. As you can see here, maximum 99% of alpha particles are pass through this foil undeviated. That means the maximum portion is unoccupied. It is empty. Then the second was the positive charge resides in a very small space. The positive charge resides in a very small space. That is why some of the rays underwent little deviations. Why? Because positive and positive will repel each other, so it will get deviated at small angles. Then at last, the positive charge is heavy and located in the center. Okay, it is present in the center because the rays which were passing through the center were rebounded like this, and this indicated that the positive charge is located in the center and it is heavy. Okay, then next was the number of protons is equal to number of electron, which was proved by Thomson also, and this is again stating that an atom is neutral, electrically neutral. The size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. Okay, because very few rays rebounded. That means the nucleus is present in the center of the atom. Nucleus is present in the center of the atom, and the nuclear radii was much less than the atomic radii. Okay, and it is around 10 raised to the power 5 times atomic radii is greater than the nuclear radii. So these were the conclusions that was made by Rutherford, and he was correct to the maximum extent, because whatever generalizations or the postulates he gave about his model was correct. Actually, in today's model we know that the nucleus is present in the center and the maximum space is occupied by electron, which is considered empty because the mass of electron is considered as negligible. So he was right, and the radius ratio of the nucleus and the atom was also correctly predicted. But still he was not correct in all the aspects. He also made some mistakes, and some more contributions of Rutherford I would like to tell you. The discovery of nucleus, the credit of the discovery of nucleus also goes to Rutherford, because you can see here that a centrally placed nucleus was discovered after his experiment only, and because of this experiment only, the credit of the discovery of proton also goes to Rutherford. But again I am telling you, the actual discoverer is Goldstein, because in his experiment he simply concluded that positive charge is present in the center, and then he further emphasized on the properties of proton, which was already studied by Goldstein. Now next he said that electron revolve in closed circular orbits around the nucleus. Now when he gave this point, then Thomson's model was totally discarded. Thomson's model was a failure after this point only, when Rutherford put forth this point, because according to Thomson, he did not mention any circular orbit or anything in his model. He simply said that positive charge is smeared over the surface and electrons are embedded, whereas Rutherford came up with the concept of circular closed orbits around the nucleus, which we all know is correct. So these were the important contributions of Rutherford, or you can say the important postulates of Rutherford's model. Okay, then where did he fail? He failed when to explain the stability of the atom. He couldn't explain the stability of atom. How? Okay, because when he compared his system with the solar system, he couldn't justify that how come the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in stable orbits. He could not explain this. He compared his model with the solar system, and we all know that there exists an electrostatic force of attraction between two oppositely charged particles. Okay, this is the fact that we all know. But when he compared it to the solar system, then another very famous scientist, Maxwell, came up with his theory, and his theory totally contradicted with his comparison of his model with the solar system. Maxwell's theory said that any accelerated charge emits radiations. Accelerated charge, why is this term used here? Accelerated charge emits radiation and loses energy. Now if you see here, children, electron is a negatively charged body and proton is a positively charged body. When electron is revolving around the nucleus, when the electron is revolving around the nucleus, since at that time only proton was discovered, so I have written proton only here. When electron revolves around the nucleus, what happens? Only and only there exists an electrostatic force between the two oppositely charged particles. And when a charged particle revolves in a circular path, its velocity, if you are keeping its speed constant, its direction keeps on changing, so its velocity will also change. There are certain concepts from maths and physics which are involved here. So what will happen? Its velocity will keep on changing. So obviously when the velocity changes per unit time, acceleration happens. And when a charged particle undergoes accelerated motion, then it loses energy. That means this electron, while it is rotating around the centrally placed nucleus, it is continuously liberating energy. As a result, what will happen? Gradually the electron will collide with the proton. That means the electron will follow a spiral path as shown here. When it is losing energy, obviously it will keep on it will keep on rotating with the small orbits. Now it will follow a smaller radius gradually, and then it will merge or collide with the nucleus. That means the atom will get destroyed. The atom will get destroyed and atom will collapse. So this is what will happen if he compares his model to solar system without coming up with any solid point of solid justifications. So he could not explain this point, he could not explain the stability, though he was correct in a number of things. Though we know even this today that electron revolve in circular orbits, but they are continuously emitting out radiations or energy. This is not known to us even today. Okay, so according to his comparison, the electron will gradually lose energy and will collapse and will collide with the centrally placed nucleus, and as a whole the atom will collapse, will die out. So he could not explain the stability of the atom. And second drawback was this, or second failure was this, he could not explain the spectrum, discrete spectrum of atom. Now this topic, discrete spectrum, I'll be taking up later on in this chapter, because spectrum is a detailed topic and also a part of this chapter, so I'll take this topic later on. So these were the two failures. If it is asked in your exam to quote the two drawbacks of failure of Rutherford, then first one that you'll mention is he could not explain the stability of the atom. Second, he couldn't explain the spectrum, discrete spectrum of atom. So these were the two failures of Rutherford. So I hope Rutherford's model is clear to you, children. He was successful in telling you the overall or the overview of an atom, in which he told about centrally placed nucleus and the circular orbits in which electrons are revolving. And also he successfully compared the nuclear and the atomic radii, and he was correct also in this. And important part is this, in his experiment he used alpha rays and bombarded it with gold foil, And the point where he failed was he compared it with the solar system, where he couldn't explain the stability of the atom, and Maxwell's theory contradicted to his comparison. Second, he couldn't explain the spectrum. So children, please revise these topics and follow me to the next video in the next session. Thank you and take care.